Welcome to Off the Cut, a podcast where we talk about building, making,
and answering all of your questions.
I'm Eric from Spenceley Design Co.
And I'm Zach from Zach Builds. If you have a question that you would like us to answer on air, you can send it to offthecutpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find both of us on YouTube, Instagram, and unfortunately, because we have to keep up with kids, you can find us on TikTok too.
All right, now let's get into the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Off the Cut, episode 49. We're up in Toronto. Today is known as Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. But here in Ohio, today is respectfully dedicated to the food of the day. And Zach, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this one.
Oh, no.
Food of the day is beer.
Well, I can only get so mad because I do love me a good beer.
How is your dry January going?
You know what? It's been going very well.
Still going strong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't touched a drop of alcohol.
Nice.
The shakes were pretty bad for the first 2 weeks, and then got the DTs. But yeah. No, it's funny. One thing that I realize about booze, it's like, even if you have like 2 or 3 drinks, or at least I find this anyways, it screws with my sleep a little bit. So I've been feeling much more rested, especially on the weekends. You go out with your friends, you have a couple cocktails, you come home at 12:30, and then you wake up the next morning at 7:30. It's like you don't get the best night's sleep when you do that, right? And it kind of puts you at a disadvantage for the rest of the week. You're already starting the week with a sleep deficit. So I've been feeling a little bit more better rested. I guess that would be the way to put it.
So when you say that you feel like it messes with your sleep, do you feel like you wake up a lot through the night, or do you wake up in the morning and be like, I just don't feel well rested?
Yeah, more the second one, but definitely I do find that I'll be more prone to waking up in the middle of the night if I've had a couple drinks, but more so just the feeling of waking up in the morning and be like, I didn't get a great night's sleep last night.
I definitely echo that. I feel the same way a lot of times.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, I think it's pretty scientifically proven that drinking alcohol is not good for your sleep health.
Well, yeah, you're consuming a controlled amount of poison.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
Of course. I don't know. What I hate is I've definitely noticed this as I've gotten older. Hell, I'm 30 now. Practically dead. I know.
Yeah.
Is I can literally have, I don't know, say tonight when Miranda gets home, if we're like, hey, do you want to have a glass of wine and just, chat for a little bit and then, go to bed, or, an hour and a half or so later. Dude, if I have one drink and then go to bed and I didn't have some water or some food to go with it, I will wake up in the morning and feel hungover. And I had one drink.
Yeah. It's not like a full hangover, oh my God, my head is pounding. But it's like,
I don't feel good.
Yeah, I don't feel good. I just don't feel that crisp full night's sleep feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But my hack to that is you always drink a Pedialyte or a liquid IV or Gatorade.
Yes. I've heard this before.
You got to, man.
The problem with me, though, is that I don't keep any of that stuff in the house.
Oh, you have to.
I know. It requires thinking ahead, which I'm not good at.
Yeah. One of my buddies has got a Costco membership, so whenever he goes, I was like, hey, pick me up the 30 pack of the little powder thingies that you mix in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually had one of those companies approach me on Instagram, hey, would you want to do a sponsored post? It was it was a powder that you put in your drink, and it was supposed to be a hangover cure.
Huh.
And I was like, I don't know, probably not for me. No. I was interested in trying it, but I was like, do I really want to make my Instagram page into an advertisement for?
For the right price.
For the right price. That's true. I always say, you know me. I always say, if they drive a dump truck up of money up to my front door, I'm willing to do almost anything. But
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have no morals. If you're going to pay me well, I'll
exactly.
do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've noticed that
Oh.
a lot of times, like, those brands will reach out and they're like, we'll give you like a case of this stuff in exchange for a post. And you're like, and how much money? And they're
Yeah.
like, what? No, well, you know, we're going to, the product's valued at $60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, great.
Yeah.
Answering
It's,
this email wasn't worth $60.
It's funny. I was like, when I was, I don't know, my early 20s, I had a friend who's a pretty good skateboarder.
Okay.
And he was like, dude, I just got sponsored by PBR. And
Really? Was his name
Yeah.
Tony?
no, but so, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. And I was like, so what's the deal? Like, how does the sponsorship work? He was like, well, basically they send me a free case of PBR every once in a while. I was like,
In exchange for what? Just him like wearing PBR stuff all the time?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure what the exchange out the other side was. I think
Okay.
maybe just to have him be seen drinking it. I don't know. I mean, for them, like, what's a case of product cost at you know, the manufacturer cost? Probably like a $3 case. Or
Right.
something.
Yeah, I was gonna say like $5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, classic. And he was pumped on it. So it's, look, if you get people at different stages in their life, when you're a broke college student, if somebody's like, hey, I'll give you a free case of product if you promote this on Instagram, you might be like, yeah, sure, I'll go for that.
Can you imagine you being 20 years old and somebody offering you free alcohol?
Oh,
So
man.
you
Yeah.
hit the jackpot.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Could you imagine if you had started your Instagram or YouTube career like right out of high school?
No,
I
I can't.
honestly, it would have been a completely different life. But that being said, when I was in university, YouTube was like a relatively new thing. And I
Yeah.
don't think there were a lot of people really making any money on YouTube. So it's interesting. Like, we are kind of latecomers to the scene, but we've also entered it when it's a much more mature industry and there's more opportunity
Yeah.
to like monetize your channel and stuff. So unlucky in some ways that we didn't do it sooner, but also lucky in other ways that there are the opportunities there are now.
No, I 100% agree. I think it's interesting when you look at creators in a specific area. Like, let's just say like woodworking, DIY, whatever you want to call it, like a maker space.
Yeah.
There seems to be these like distinct classes. And what I mean by
Yeah.
classes is like the same as like a class in school. So like you'd have like your people who started in 2012 or your people who started in 2016 or 2018.
Yeah.
And it seems like most people stick around for a handful of years and then they're kind of over it.
That's interesting. Have you ever seen, like, have there ever been any makers that you follow who like kind of got out of it?
Yes, but now that you asked that question, I can't think of anyone specifically.
Because I'm trying to think of like some of the like, quote unquote like OGs, like people who've been in it for a while.
Okay.
Like, you have Mark the Wood Whisperer. He's probably like one of the old, like,
Yeah.
first maker creators on YouTube.
Steve
Who else?
Ramsey.
Like, Steve Ramsey, yeah. I mean, they're both still, well, okay, so I think a couple things happen. One, I think that early on YouTube and Instagram and all these social medias, there weren't that many creators. So it was easier to, a little bit easier to grow and to get a big audience. You didn't have to have the highest quality content. But now it's a much more competitive market. So I think some of these guys, and no disrespect to them, they're fantastic creators and fantastic makers, but they might not be seeing the same growth that they used to see back in the day.
Fair.
And or even the same views and the same engagement that they used to see because the space is so much more competitive.
Yeah.
So I think it can be disincentivizing you to keep focusing on the platform and the product and all that stuff, right?
I think that's a very valid argument. And I think the way I see it is I think everybody is guilty of this, right? For example, right now, doing these stupid titles and thumbnails works fantastic for me. But there
Yeah.
will be a time where that no longer works.
Yeah.
And I think that people struggle with a platform when the platform makes changes, but they're unwilling to adapt to those changes.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And I think that separates the people. And I'm don't get me wrong, I'm very guilty of this myself.
Likewise.
You're like, damn algorithm, like it's not giving me
Right.
the love I'm supposed to get. But it's like, well, I don't know. Are you in it for the long haul? Are you willing to play the game in order to succeed? Or are you just going to bash your head against the wall and keep doing the thing that you want to do, even if it's not particularly successful?
And I think that you can bring that exact same thought or mental conundrum, take it out of the social media space. Talk about like just running your business in general.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like how many have you had stuff with the business with your dad where like you guys are trying to do something and then you're just like, man, we can't, like this isn't working. Like we have to change something.
Oh, 100%. It's actually kind of refreshing when things don't work in a weird way, because it's like, okay, now I know that I need to now pivot and adapt my strategy. And so I think for anybody in any sort of business, being flexible like that and being able to pivot is what separates people, like people who see long-term success versus just, flash in the pan success for a little bit, right? Yeah.
I think one of the things I've noticed recently is I'm almost kind of, and this sounds weird when I say it, I'm kind of excited to see myself fail at something because it means now I'm going to have to change up my just like daily grind of these things that I do and try something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's scary, but
It is
exciting.
very scary. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're right on the edge of being comfortable, right? You're out of your comfort zone, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that's how you find new things that work too, is like you have to get a little bit outside your comfort zone and try new things. And then you hit on something, you're like, oh, that one really works. So now I have to like kind of chase that a little bit. Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about like my channel was struggling like crazy. And I was like, I got to do something different. And I was like, I spent those 2 weeks just painstakingly going and updating all these titles and thumbnails. And then boom, thing blows up.
Yeah. And like you're saying, like there's probably going to come a time when titles and thumbnails like that don't work.
Right.
But then this is why we always say, there's a lot of ups and downs in social media, but you're at least mentally prepared for that. Like you can see in advance, you're like, this is good for now, and I'm going to keep doing it, and it's successful for me. But you have to be prepared to pivot in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm sure you guys felt the same thing with like you and your dad with the business during the COVID times. I'm sure you guys probably raised your prices up, and you're like, this. Right. You're like, this is phenomenal. But you guys have been in that space long enough and you're intelligent enough to know that is not going to last forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And you're already, like, speaking of the construction world, like, we're already seeing a major slowdown.
Yeah.
In construction starts. Like, there's just not as much business as there was a year ago, which is crazy to think about, like, now that the world's reopened. But,
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I'm curious to know from, like, your business standpoint, what do you guys do when you start to see a slowdown in, like, customers wanting to, get work done?
Honestly, it's been like a decade of very steady work for us.
That's great, though.
Because we're a small team and we book far out in the future, it's not as variable, right? Like it's not a high volume business. We have like 1 or 2 clients a year, right?
Yeah.
So we're insulated to a certain degree. And honestly, This is me selfishly. When the main business gets slow, I'm like, oh yeah, now I got some time to work on my other
Right.
business. So I'm probably the worst person in the world to ask that question to.
Because you're like,
But
yeah, fair enough. Time to go to the woodworking stuff.
exactly, right? Like I had a couple slow months at the beginning of this year. I was like, okay, well, it's time to knock out some projects of my own.
Right.
But that's, I don't know. I think theoretically, like if we were to see a prolonged period of like no business, well, then you start looking for other avenues. You would start experimenting and start trying new things, right?
Yeah,
It's like, okay,
do you guys get into building furniture for people or something? Like,
exactly. Or do you switch up the advertising method? Do you start sending out mailers? Like
Right.
all these little things. So
I think the key to being success at any business venture is like not being afraid to try something new that's unknown.
yeah, which is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it'd be boring. Like, if I do just rinse and repeat the same thing over and over and over, I'm going to get tired of it. I kind of like going into like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but this is kind of fun to give it a shot, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the fun thing about making YouTube videos too, is like, even if you like established a cookie cutter YouTube video formula that worked really well for you, there's so many ways that you can play around within that format.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I do projects videos. It's like, okay, I'm tired of woodworking. I'm going to try some metalworking. I'm going to use the same video format, but I'm going to try this new medium. Or I'm going to keep doing woodworking projects, but I'm going to change the video format.
Sure.
So there's like infinite ways that you can kind of mess around and have fun.
That was one of the biggest pieces of advice I got from people when I was looking to start my business is when I was trying to come up with the name, right? I was like, well, I want to do woodworking. It should be like Eric's woodworking something or other, rustic creations or whatever.
Yeah.
But I forget who I was talking to, but I had multiple people who were like, do not pick a name that like shoehorns you into one specific thing. Pick something that's broad but still targeted.
Yeah.
So
like, it's good advice.
If I want to get in to start like filming like renovation content or like here's how to redo a bathroom or whatever, like it still works with the name, right?
Yep.
Because I see so many people go with like Todd's pallet furniture, and you're like, dude, let's not do the pallets anymore.
Yeah. It's funny. I was actually thinking like I have all these electronic projects that I want to do, and I was like, damn, should I have called my channel Zach Electronics or Zach Tinkers or something like that?
But you're still building stuff.
I know, I'm still building things. It's like, it's a kind of a stupid thought experiment, but it was where my head went while I was driving the other day.
And I think I think your channel is a really interesting combination of two of your interests that you don't see a lot of people tackle together. Like you'll have
a
lot of channels that will go all in on the tech stuff, but they're not really building stuff. But then you have people like me where I don't really incorporate tech stuff because I just don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting crossover.
Speaking of, I know you want to do LEDs underneath your vanity. Your hypothetical vanity. So I've been looking recently. I've been looking at these LED control boards. So you know how you get like LED strip lights, like you get them in a big roll. I've been looking at this. It's like a $5 control board that you can wire up to your LEDs, and it allows you to like control them with your, Amazon Alexa or your Google Home or your phone or all these things.
So it's almost kind of like a hub kind of thing,
exactly,
if you want, simply speaking.
Exactly, but it's completely open source. It's like a little $5 board. All you have to do is solder 3 wires together. It's like, oh, that's a neat little product. So I'll probably do a video on that at some point, but I thought it would be good for you. And,
because I would want the ability to like customize like what the lights do. So maybe like during a specific time of day, they're maybe brighter, and at night they're like dim, but if it senses motion, then it comes on or something. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. All that you there's so many different things you could do with it. You could even do effects where it's like you probably wouldn't want to do this for a vanity light, but you can make them like cascade. You can make them change color.
Ooh.
So you could even do a thing where like during the day it's like a cool blue,
Okay.
but then at night it switches to, or sorry, a cool white, but then at night it switches to warm white.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's neat. That's a neat idea.
Yeah. So just all these little things.
Now, would that be more beneficial compared to one of the like Philips Hue systems?
Well, the advantage to this is that A, it's cheaper. B, Philips Hue is, well, yeah, Philips Hue is like ridiculously expensive. And I say that as somebody who has got a room full of Philips Hue lights right now.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It allows you, the nice thing about this is that it allows you to pick the LED strips that you want. So one of the biggest struggles I found with buying LED strips online is that you kind of get the controller and the strip in one, and people advertise so much around like the functionality of the light, and they don't really speak much to the quality of the light.
Yeah.
So you get these super cheap LEDs that look like garbage.
None of
but you
them are
don't know-
consistent color either.
and they're not a consistent color, and you don't know until you get the damn thing home and you plug it in. So the nice thing about this is like you can buy each component of it individually, and you're like, okay, I want to spend money and get high quality LEDs. I will order these specific LEDs, then hook it up to my own control board. So
I like that. And it's kind of, instead of going with like the all-in-one package, you're kind of single sourcing your components and building your own system.
exactly. So it's like truly DIY.
I think that's a neat idea. I would be very interested to learn more about that.
Yeah. So I'm thinking if I have time, I'll probably I'll order all the parts and do a video on it in March or February.
I like it. That's an interesting idea. Interesting idea. Well, what else have you been working on? Anything exciting? Anything crazy?
Nothing too crazy. I got some fun stuff coming up. I got the my next retro game console coming out.
How'd the Xbox one do? I actually watched it the other day.
Yeah, so I changed the title and the thumbnail on it, and now it's blowing up. So
Oh,
I'm pretty
fantastic.
happy about that. Yeah, so my new strategy is to come up with insulting thumbnail or insulting titles.
Ooh,
Remember,
great.
I was telling you that my the one where I died, the power tools, I just changed it to your tools are boring.
Okay.
And that blew it up. And then so for the Xbox One, I started with I can't remember what the title was. It was like, my Xbox isn't like the other Xboxes or something silly like that.
Hey, but silly
And,
titles work.
So I changed it to your Xbox is now obsolete.
Oh, that was a good one, Zach. That was good.
And yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, so I'm thinking for my next title, for my next video, I'm probably just gonna call it like, "Hey, crap bag, your penis is small and your wife is gonna leave you."
I love
I'm
it.
expecting.
That's perfect.
I'm expecting that to really blow up.
Or just title it "Your Mom."
Your mom, yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
get people
So
going.
yeah.
So what's
that's,
going to be different about the new retro console? Is it going to be like the PlayStation version?
No, so the one I have coming out, it'll probably be coming out this weekend. Is like it's a mini PC, so it's like really small,
Okay.
but it's super powerful. So that'll kind of be the end of the everything console, because that's kind of like the highest. Like you could possibly, it'll do every game console essentially.
So like the newest Xbox and PlayStation and stuff, it'll do that one?
Those ones it won't do. So yeah,
Because they
Those
don't have
ones
the
it won't-
emulators for it, right?
Exactly. Emulators do not exist for those systems yet. But once they do, I'm confident that it will be able to do that.
Okay. So what's the purpose of this mini PC? Is it to get all of your PC things in a small portable package?
Yeah, so basically the concept was I wanted to take, because I made the Everything Console Mark II, and it's pretty big.
Right.
So I wanted to redo the new one is like half the size and more powerful. So it'll be much more compact on my media center. It's cooler design. It's a little bit more powerful. So yeah.
Now, with it being more powerful and smaller, is it also substantially more expensive?
Well, the last one was free because my buddy gave me all the parts for it.
From the work laptops, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So this one, it cost me the computer itself, like all the computer parts, probably about $700-800. So
It's not too
it
bad.
was, yeah, it wasn't. It's not cheap, but it wasn't like thousands upon thousands.
Yeah, you didn't
of
spend
dollars.
10 grand on this video, right?
Exactly.
So do you have the plans or ambition to potentially sell these or like give them to friends and family? Because you have what, 3 now?
Yeah, I think the old ones I will give away.
Okay.
Because I literally don't need them. I was actually going to give one to a friend of mine because his kids wanted it, but we haven't been able to link up and make it
Oh,
happen.
perfect.
And then I don't know what I'll do with the other one because I kind of scavenged a bunch of parts out of it to make the new one.
Classic.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. Part of me just wants to like keep them on a shelf in the background as kind of like props or something, but we'll see.
Like a progression of like, here was idea 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. Like, look how much better. I think that's
Exactly.
neat.
Yeah, and it's funny because I keep filming these videos and I keep going back and shooting little B-roll clips of the old ones because like the new one, it's like, oh, it's so much smaller than the old one. So I was like, okay, I need a bunch of shots where there are size comparisons.
Right.
So it's like I don't want to get rid of it and then need it for a future video, but we'll see. That's
fair. That's
pretty
fair.
esoteric concern.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you don't have that B-roll clip, like, does it really matter? You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't at the end of the day.
I'm sure you
doesn't.
could always pick another clip where like you're holding it in your hands and you'd be like, but look at my hands compared to this thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And I also went the other day and I met a guy off Craigslist and I bought this phone. So I'm going to try and use this as a basis for a mobile retro game console.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's probably that's a future project. That's pretty far away. But I'm thinking I'm going to try and open it up, make a new custom cooling for it, see if I can wire together 2 batteries in parallel and make a little mobile game console like a Nintendo Switch.
Now see, I'm all in on that. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. The high chance that I'm gonna break this thing. I got a screaming good deal on it though, because have you ever had this? Do you know the scam where people will purchase device insurance for a cell phone? So like, your
Tell me more.
carrier will charge you like $10 a month for insurance, and if you lose your phone, basically they give you a new phone.
Yeah.
So there's a very common scam here where people will take their phone, they will sell it, and then they will tell their carrier that they lost it.
Right on. I dig it.
And then and then the carrier will blacklist the phone so that it's unable to connect to any networks in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, so this poor guy that I met up with, he was the victim of the scam. So he essentially had a brand new phone that's like in mint condition, but it can't connect to any cell phone networks here in Canada.
So like he bought it from somebody on Craigslist or whatever and they just got screwed over.
Exactly. So he's like, I'm going to sell it for like a quarter of what it's worth because it can't connect to a mobile network. And I was like, well, that's great for me because it's still got the screen, it's still got the processor, it still works perfectly.
Yeah, you don't need the cell connection.
Exactly. So that's why I don't feel that bad about risking potentially breaking this thing, doing a little operation on it.
Well, if you do end up breaking it, you title the video something like, I broke a whatever $1,500 phone, or
definitely
something like that.
100%.
So maybe somehow tie in a phone scam in there. I don't know. You can get creative.
Yeah. There's definitely some room to play in there.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you got going on?
Well, I am still in the midst of
setting up the table saw,
working on this effing table saw, dude. So. Did I tell you about how I got it? If the blade is all the way down, I can get it perfectly aligned with the miter slot. Okay. But then as I raise the blade up with the crank handle, it raises up, but then like turns.
Oh,
so
interesting.
When the blade is perfectly aligned in the down position, you raise it up. And as you raise it up, it becomes further and further and further out of parallel.
Whoa, weird.
Right.
So, is there even a way that you can calibrate for that? Like, is there something in the mechanism that raises it that's maybe not? I'm trying to think because it's probably like some sort of rack and pinion system that moves it
Right.
up and down, right?
And so I literally took like I posted on my Patreon. I literally took the entire table off, like took everything off the table saw, where it's
Oh
literally
man.
just like the steel cabinet and the blade mechanism.
Hmm.
It's kind of weird. It's right. It's like taking a game system apart, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I have checked every single bolt on there. I cannot find a mechanism that adjusts it.
Huh. I
But-
wonder.
So
Is there what like a shim you could put somewhere, like maybe like a different size washer or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I reached out
that's tough.
to Jeremy, which is the guy that he runs their marketing thing or whatever the
Yeah.
hell. And he's like, so this was on like Wednesday, I think. And he's like, yeah, I'll get like our lead engineer to reach out to you. And like, okay, like I
that's
understand it's only Tuesday now. I haven't heard anything back. So then I also did like a customer service claim thing on their website to try to get somebody to contact me, and I got a
Yeah.
response back that was like, "Oh wow, yeah, that's not good." Yeah, we're definitely going to get you in touch with our lead engineer, but I haven't heard anything back, and like,
Hmm.
I get it, but it's frustrating.
It's tough when you get free tools because I mean free in air quotes.
Right.
Because you don't want to raise too much of a stink. Like you don't want to be like this thing you sent me isn't working right. Like I don't know. It's if you buy something from a store and it doesn't work,
Oh, I'd
you
be
get to be a little bit
pissed.
of an a-hole, right? You need to be like, fix
Right.
this, like make it work. But when it's like a partnership with a brand and they send you something, it's I don't know, something maybe it's just my personality, but I don't want to be like, hey, jerk off, like fix this for me.
Right, yeah, no, I get that. And one of the like the blade guard they sent was cracked, so I filled out a
Mhm.
claim for that, and they sent it to me the next day. So like,
Oh wow.
it's not that their customer service is completely inept. I think they're truly kind of stumped on this one.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if something happened in shipping. Like
That's the only thing I can imagine.
is there a potential that like it dropped and it like maybe the guy dropped the pallet jack or something and
Yeah, but so
how do they
like,
ship it? Is it like secured? Like I know when you buy a washing machine, the drum inside the washing machine is actually screwed in place, and before you ever use it, you have to take these two big giant lag screws out of it,
Right.
so that the drum doesn't vibrate around while it gets shipped. Is it like that with the table saw?
correct, it had a shipping brace on it.
Huh. Crazy.
Right. And so, and I should also clarify when I say it's out of parallel, I'm not like, oh, it's a couple thousandths of an inch. It's
Yeah.
almost an eighth inch out of parallel. When,
Whoa. Okay,
Right.
that was going to be my follow-up question because I know you were like really fussing over like a human hair thickness.
Right.
Before.
So like, then that's the thing. Like I was like, oh, okay, I got it dialed in. Well, I actually had the blade raised all the way up. Got it dialed in within like 1,000th of an inch. I was like,
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Then I lowered the blade and I just looked at it and I was like, huh? It's like, this doesn't look right. So then I brought out my like woodpecker's dial indicator thingy and I was like, this moved in almost an eighth of an inch.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like,
I'm
dude,
trying
I don't
to,
know.
like, have you tried like rotating the blade? Like, is it like is the arbor twisted?
I've tried that.
And it stays consistent. Like when you
Stays
rotate the
consistent,
blade,
yeah.
it stays consistent. So it's definitely the carrier that's shifted, huh?
And if you put the dial indicator on the blade as you lower it, you can literally see it move.
Watch it happen. Wow,
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't know what it is. And like
Yeah.
I feel kind of like a dick, but if I haven't heard anything by like Thursday, I'm going to be like, "Hey, guys, like
Yeah.
Can you give me an update? Like, at least tell me, like, hey, like, we're having a team of people review it. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'd like to have an update.
Well, but also like the table saw, it's not really like a tool you can be without for too long, right?
Right.
I guess in the interim, you could calibrate it
And just
to
never move the blade.
and like you could just set it at its maximum height, right?
Yeah, I'd probably do it about like an inch and a quarter, inch and a half high, because that would cover just about anything that you would use. But
Yeah. Well, what about that 2 inch? You got that 8/4 material running through. You got to do another dining table.
I'm not building anything like that anytime soon.
I haven't told you, but speaking of building dining tables, Sophie and I are moving in March.
Oh.
So we got a new place, and I'm gonna definitely be needing to build a dining table pretty soon.
Okay.
So I might hit you up for some tips and ideas. You better get that video published.
Dude, I have no idea when that video is coming out. I'm still down to like The Wire. I told you. Well, this is actually quite a predicament that I got myself. I'm going to save this predicament for the after show.
Okay. Yeah.
To briefly summarize, I got paid for something that I didn't do.
Oh.
And I have no intention of doing. I got the email alert today, and I was like, "Why did this person pay me?"
No.
Okay, but we'll talk more about that in the after show.
Okay, cause yeah, I've got some questions on that front. I got some questions.
As do I. As do I. But no, the dining room tables video's done. Just waiting for it to come out. I don't know when it's going to come out. And like, we're in this like lull where like our lease is going to end here in like August or September. And it's just like, well, do we get like a 6-month lease? Do we just like move? But then we'd want to get a house shortly after that. So like, we're not really sure what we want to do.
How do leases work down there? Do you have to sign for? Because the way it works here is you do a year for, like when you first move into place, you do a year, and then basically that just becomes a month to month. So relationship after that.
Ours are different. Like,
okay,
depending on how long you renew your lease for, they'll typically be different rates. So like a month to month is typically the most expensive. But like if you would sign an additional 12 months, then you can get like a substantially lower rate.
Oh, interesting. Is that like an Ohio thing? I've never heard of that before.
It's been every apartment that I've ever seen.
Really?
But it could just be a coincidence of the apartments that I've been to.
Yeah, because the way it works here in Toronto anyways is it's just like flat monthly rate. You do a year up front, and then it just automatically converts to month after that. And it's,
do they have the ability to change your rate, or be like, let's hypothetically say, Zach, you've been at this place for 18 years.
Yes. So it depends. Most places are automatically rent controlled. So if you stay in the same place, the most they can raise it every year is some fixed number by the government, which is usually tied to inflation. Sure. So, it's usually like 2-3% a year or something like that.
Sure. Okay.
However, any building built after 2018 in Toronto is not rent controlled, so they can just put it up to, it's in 1-year increments, but they can just put it up to whatever they want at the end of a year.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there are also some people who are in huge favor of charging exorbitant amounts of money for rent. There are new patrons.
Oh, our new patrons, yeah. Well, it's a good thing that they're taking some of their proceeds from their rental income and giving it to us.
That was a really bad segue, but I was like,
sure was.
We're 40 minutes in. I almost forgot about the patrons. So, new this week, we got an Odie's Oil fan, Adam McKeon.
Nice.
Adam, I hope you don't actually use Odie's Oil, because I don't know about that. And an apprentice, Lonnie Miller.
Oh, nice.
That's
second.
I like that
patron?
name. I believe so.
Actually, you know what? I've met a couple Lonnies that are guys too. So
It's a nice
I
name,
think
though.
it is a nice name. It is a nice name.
And then we've got our returning top tier patrons. We got Luke Schmidt,
Oh
Derek
yeah.
Jennings at Pecan Tree
Woo.
Designs. That was a very womanly whoo.
I was trying to do a little celebration for each individual one, but now you made me
Oh,
self-conscious about it.
No,
So
no, no, no.
I'm not
I'll
going to do
pause
the
after
rest.
each person. Corey Duvall.
Whoa!
And
I don't know. This is asinine. I'm going to stop.
yeah. That was uncomfortable. That was insulting to all people groups. And Jason Price, Priceless Designs, he's back.
He's back, baby.
Yeah, after a few months, he was in a little trouble with the IRS, but he's back.
Classic Jason.
Yeah, he was messing around with the IRS. He got caught, but he's back. And we also have Scott Eastman at Eastie's Woodshop.
Sure do.
And of course, the Power Cocker, formerly known as
Wes.
Yeah. So if you want to be a patron, you support the show, get your name announced and butchered on the show. We make fun of you. And you get access to the after show. You can go to patreon.com/offthecutpodcast.
That's right.
That's all I got
right. Hey, yeah, we didn't make it a while before we got to the patrons, but that's okay. That's okay.
Keep people guessing. Which, by the way, Mark Alms, if you're listening, I noticed that on the after show last episode, he had a voice question. Two-parter. We never answered the second half.
Yeah, I realized that as soon as we like hung up the call, I was like, oh, we never answered the second part of Mark's question.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in the after show. And we also got another patron question, which, by the way,
Nice.
patrons, send in your questions. That's what the after show's for.
Yeah. And the main show too, hypothetically, if we'd ever stop yapping about what we're building.
You know, speaking of building, you asked me what I've been building.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to admit it, Zach. I did the biggest woodworking faux pas of all time, and people are going to hate me for this.
Oh, God, that's clickbait right there.
Yeah. Oh, that should have been the tease for the after show.
Yeah.
I'll let the main show people, I'll let the freeloaders have this one. I went to IKEA last week and bought something.
Oh, you bought something. So Sophie and I actually went to IKEA too.
To get the meatballs?
But yeah. Well, no, I get the 50-cent hot dog. But it was two things. One, the new place that we're moving into doesn't have a lot of closets. So I was like, I need some like cheap-ish storage units that I can just whack up. You know, it's like, it's not going to be forever, but I just need some places to put stuff. And then also I was like, just walking around with my camera like, oh yeah, I kind of like the design of that. Oh yeah, I kind of like the design of that. Like just getting a little bit of inspiration. Didn't actually buy any. I didn't commit the cardinal sin and actually buy anything though.
Oh, I did buy something.
What did you get?
But, so I think Wes Willard, Power Cocker, formerly known as Wes, is going to be upset with me.
Couch.
I bought a couch.
Nice.
I could have built one and had him upholster it for me and everything like that.
Yeah.
Would have been way out of my budget though.
Well, here's the crazy thing about couches. Like couches didn't used to be this expensive, but they've just gone nuts since COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Sophie wants to get a new couch, and she was showing me couches. It was like $4,000 for a couch, and it was like nothing
for like
special.
a sectional, right?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not paying $4,000 for it. What do you think? I'm made of money? That's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And so it's just my, I guess the couch that we had is when my good friend moved from Northern Ohio down here, he was like, I got to move into an apartment real quick until I like find a house or whatever. So he's like, dude, I have 3 couches and I don't have room for these. And I was like, yeah, I can babysit one for you. So like we've been babysitting his couch for the last year. Well, he just bought a house last week. And so he's like, well, I need the couch back. So I was like, yeah, dude, of course, it's your couch. And so we're like, what are we going to do without this couch? So we also aren't going to be in this apartment for a substantially long period of time. And I was like, I don't
Right.
want to buy like a real nice couch, then have to move it, bang it all up, rip it while
Yeah.
we're moving. Like,
Yeah.
I'll just get something cheap.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's a good play. I actually have behind me here. I've got a little office couch.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Ugh.
beauty.
Yeah, bought it. That's a Craigslist find, $250. Bought it from a couple moving out of town, and Bing has promptly destroyed it. So that's I don't know what material you got for your couch, but that's a big consideration for me with future couches. It's like, can the cat get her claws into it and destroy it?
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So far, no issues with the cat. But I put the scratching post right next to it, and she
Yeah.
just seems like she goes to the scratching post and she's good.
Perfect. My cat destroyed this other couch that we had back in the day. This is a project I've never gotten around to actually doing, but I took one of the cases from it, like like the big like backrest pillow. It was probably 3 feet wide and foot and a half high. So we eventually tossed the couch, but I kept the case. So I was like, I'm gonna make this case into a scratching post for her because she loved to claw it so much.
Okay. I dig
Yeah.
it. Works
Yeah.
well. She likes it.
Never actually got around to doing it.
Fair.
But kept the case. I still have the case. I found it in the closet the other day. I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna do something with this.
Are you a classic hoarder, hold on to a bunch of stuff? You're like, well, yeah, I thought about making a video out of this.
Yeah, definitely. But now that we're getting ready to move, I've been doing the most satisfying thing in the world, which is going around the house and just filling up garbage bags full of don't need this, don't need this, don't need this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I out of my office. My office is not big. It's like 100 square feet.
Yeah.
I threw out 3 garbage bags worth of stuff
Hell yeah.
the other day and did the same thing. Like went into my closet. Any clothes I hadn't worn in a couple of years, like that's going to Goodwill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I dig it. Well, actually, I want to touch back on that. But the reason that I brought up the IKEA thing, listen to this,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So if you're buying a couch, it's obviously going to be massive, right? And this is just like, like a 3-seater couch is what, I don't know, like 6 or 7 feet long and,
Yep.
like something like that. So I have a Honda Civic. I'm not getting this couch in the
I
Civic.
was gonna say, did you you didn't get in the Civic truck?
So I was thinking, I'm going to drive down to my mom's house, get her car, drive back up to IKEA, then drop the couch off at my house, then drive back to her house to drop her car off, and then pick my car back up and then drive back to my house. And I was like, that's going to be minimum a 2
It's a
to
day.
3 hour exchange.
It's a day.
Easy, right? So then I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to do this. But first going to go on IKEA.com and I'm going to buy this sofa for like an in-store pickup, right? So I don't do this whole rigmarole and then find out they don't have it.
Yeah.
Well, right next to the in-store pickup button, they had the delivery button.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, they're going to just bend me over a barrel for this, right? $39 for delivery.
Easiest $39 you'll ever spend in your entire life.
I literally laughed and I was like,
Yeah.
why would I not do that?
Yeah. That's that's one of those so easy.
I'm losing money going to the store to pick that up.
You'd spend more in gas going there and back.
Right.
Yeah.
And I value my time way more than that.
Yes. I'm curious to hear what kind of car your mom has though that would allow you to get a couch into it.
Well, keep in mind it's IKEA, so like it comes in pieces and then you like bolt it together. She's got I think like a Volvo XC90 or something, one of those.
Okay, so like well, no, it's an SUV, but it's
like
got
it's like a CRV
Gotcha,
Toyota
gotcha.
Highlander kind of
Gotcha.
size.
Okay.
mid-
I was
mid to
wandering if
large.
your mom was driving like a big F350 or something.
Oh, that would be hilarious. See my mom in a 350. No, but like, people need to value their time more. Like if you go online and you're gonna buy something that's gonna be this huge issue to get to your home and it's $39 to get it delivered, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, because I'm the cheapest person in the world.
Likewise.
But when it comes to saving time, like the other day, like I ordered it was like one single part for a project.
Right.
And it was like a $40 part, and shipping on it was $30. I know, it hurt, but it's also a place that's in the city. And I was like, it's like 45 minutes to get there. It's 45 minutes back plus gas. I was like, it sucks, but I'm going to pay the $30 for shipping because it makes way more sense to do that versus me going out there and picking it up in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where like I value my time so much that I'm willing to spend a couple bucks on something that saves me a tremendous amount of time.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I can't get that
especially
back.
when it's like a full day like that, right? Or, half day or whatever it is. It would be a full day realistically.
And like so imagine you're driving to the store in the city and then there's some BS traffic jam.
Right. Yeah.
I was going to my parents' house over this weekend to get to dinner, and I called my dad. I was like, "Hey, I'm on my way over." Dude, we got stuck on the highway for an hour and a half. Literally didn't move.
Oh, that's brutal.
And he lives like 20 minutes away.
Have you ever been in one of those traffic jams where it's so bad that people just start getting out of their cars and wandering around?
That's what people were doing. People were parked on the highway.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember once I was going to my grandparents or something. I was pretty young at the time, but there was such a bad traffic jam that people got out of their cars and were starting to play frisbee in like the median between the roads.
That's awesome. Oh,
yeah.
God, that's bad. I got this that popped up the other day, and I wanted to ask you if you had gotten this. Let me pull it up. So I was on Instagram. And you know how you get these random pop-ups on like the top of your screen like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh.
So this one, did you?
I don't think I've got.
It said?
Something about a meta expert, right?
Yeah. So I got this pop-up, and it said, "Speak with a meta media expert. Connect with your meta media expert to get free strategic guidance and recommendations to help you reach your goals."
Oh, interesting.
So then you go on there, and then it looks like this. It's like your classic Facebook page, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I ended up signing up for it. Haven't heard anything. It says, exciting news. We've been noticing all the effort you've been investing into your content strategy for our platforms. You have the opportunity to be connected directly with one of our media experts to receive dedicated support through strategic guidance and recommendations of how to grow your creator presence. Fill out the form below so the media expert can connect with you via email to schedule an introductory call. So I signed up, haven't heard anything.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear how that goes for you. I mean, it sounds like they heard they watched your video about how you lost half your business. And like, damn, we better reach out to this guy directly.
But you know what I'm going to ask when I'm on the thing is I'm going to say, why the hell did you demonetize my Facebook saying that I'm not providing original content when the only thing I've uploaded is my videos?
They'll be like, oh, it's a software glitch. We're sorry.
Right.
Oopsies. So sorry.
Like, it drives me nuts, man. Like,
yeah.
The whole Facebook, Instagram thing is such a nightmare.
It really is. Dude, I cannot keep the two of them linked. My Facebook and my Instagram.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me.
I try and, like, I do it. I set it all up. It works for, like, a week, and then they disconnect.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I guess all the people who follow me on Facebook just aren't going to get any updates, because...
That's all right. Your grandparents they're doing okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Grandparents and random aunts and uncles you never talk to. They're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so over the Instagram thing. Like, I think it's dying. I think it's going to be dead.
Yeah.
In the next year or two.
It really doesn't seem, I don't know. The juice doesn't seem to be worth the squeeze on Instagram anymore.
When's the last time you've gotten a paid partnership on Instagram?
Probably the Infinity one. So it was like back in October or something.
So like,
that was
6 months or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
Something like that. I got an email from a company today, kind of like asking for metrics for Instagram, like
And
what do
you're
your
like,
posts normally get, and I was like, here you go, like here are the stats, but like here are my YouTube stats that are like 10x,
right, right,
20x. I was like, if you're looking to do ad spend, like your money might be better spent there.
right, right. I've gotten a couple people just like kicking tires about Instagram stuff, and then you just never hear back from them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's hard because like on YouTube, you have this big project. You have this like, big narrative, the project, you got a video. People are willing to sit through like a 30 to 1 minute ad because they want to see the rest of the content,
Sure.
right? It's like the way commercials work in a normal TV show.
Right.
You have a little commercial break. But on Instagram, it's like you have to make the whole thing dedicated to the ad.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Which nobody wants to like. Nobody sits down to the TV and they're like, "Hey, let me put on the commercials and watch the commercials for a little bit."
no.
So it's just hard to like actually attach. Like I don't know. It's hard to have fun with it and make it like meaningful for the audience on
Right.
Instagram because it's so short. So you basically just have to talk about the product the whole time or whatever it is they want you to sell.
Right.
And there's just not much value there for the end user.
And then they'll be like, "Well, what was your conversion on this Instagram ad?" Be like, "I have no effing idea."
Yeah. I have no idea. Oh, A, I have no idea. And B, I assure you it wasn't great.
I assure you, it was way under 0.1%.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's becoming more and more. I'm finding it's becoming more and more difficult in our space to monetize Instagram right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it used to be sponsors like were like hotcakes out there. You're just like, what do you want? This one and this one and this one and this one
And I think, that like probably like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago was kind of like the heyday for that stuff.
oh yeah,
But then I think this last year, like, everybody came in with these big ad spends and then they just didn't see the results that they were really expecting.
yeah.
And so it's kind of caused them to be like, maybe we'll look somewhere else.
Right.
Let's
I
reevaluate.
I talked to Paige from whatever the hell agency runs the Pony Jorgensen thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, Pony dropped us."
Oh, really?
Pony, so Pony dropped them as their agency. So she's like, "Hey, no hard feelings with you." She's like, "You're great." She's like, "You're on my list of brands to bring in the fold in the future." But she's like, they dropped us, and doesn't look like they have any interest in doing any more Instagram stuff.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a big brand that's been doing that for years and years and years is saying we're out.
Yeah. Well, they're probably not seeing the return on it that they used to see, right? So it kind of makes sense.
Right.
I don't know. I like if you were one of these big tool companies, like what would your Instagram strategy be? Like
from a creator standpoint, I like the just no requirements on either end. Just we'll send you the stuff and just natural integration. I will take that any day over a hard sales pitch.
Yeah, exactly. If I was Pony Jorgensen, I would make a list of like 100 people or whatever, like good creators that I think do quality work, and I would say, send us a list of tools that you would like, and then can you guarantee us that like the tool will appear once a month on your feed or something like that?
No need to tag us. No need to do all this stuff. Just like clamps. Okay, how often do you see clamps in my stuff? All the time.
Yeah.
But do I need to do a hard sales pitch? No. But like,
exactly.
It's the same thing with you and DeWalt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
People see your videos and they're like, Zach uses DeWalt tools.
And that's like the best form of promotion, I think. It's not like, it's just like this passive thing. It's like it's just the tool that I'm using, right?
Right.
And there's like, I've never done like a hard sales pitch like, hey, you got to buy this. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how I would structure it if I were a tool company, and like get a little creative about it. Like remember that the video you did a while ago where you put up the sign that said your ad here. Like honestly, something like that's not a bad idea. Like if Pony Jorgensen was like, "Hey, we'll give you $1,000 to put this like plaque up in your shop." And then just like anytime the camera happens to pan over it, it happens to pan over it.
Right. Yeah, honestly, if a brand were like, hey, we'll give you $1,000 to put our logo in the background of your shop. Well, if it was some, Bill's beef jerky, probably no. But like if it was like, oh yeah, I mean, I use pony clamps all the time. Sure.
Yeah. You know what we should do? We should be like the NASCAR guys where we like stitch the patches onto our jacket.
That'd be awesome. Well, I got my Festool shirt on now. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts. That counts. Are they paying you for that?
No. I should message them. I'm send them an invoice and be like, well, you were on the Off the Cut podcast. You had a nice lapel logo placement for the entire episode. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, how many listeners do you get? And you're just like, ha! Never mind.
Don't need to know about it. They are very engaged. That's what you need to know.
They're extremely engaged. But I guess let's hit them with a call to, like that's a fancy term, call to action when we're not even at the end of the show.
Yes. Send us your damn questions.
Send us your damn questions. Voice notes, preferably. Scroll down the bottom of the description thing and you send them in. If you need help, Mark Alms, he'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah, he'll walk you through it. Yeah, just hit up Mark Alms on Instagram.
Yeah. Anywhere. We'll give him. I'll send everybody out his address. So if you just want to walk to his house and, knock on his door, ask him for help, he'll help you out. But tell people about the podcast. Send the podcast to other people. That's the only way we grow the damn thing.
It would be nice. It would be very nice if everybody told a couple friends.
And if we get this thing bigger, then people actually want to be a guest on this damn show.
That's true. Right now, we're really having to coerce people.
I actually got invited to be a guest on a podcast.
Oh, yeah. You were telling me about that.
With all due respect, this is not meant to be a slam. I've never heard of it.
How many woodworking podcasts or maker podcasts do you listen to, though?
Maybe 2.
Okay, so you're not, you're not deep into that genre of podcast.
No, I predominantly like to consume content outside of what I produce. It's more interesting to me.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I got invited to this other podcast, and I told them I'd do it because people have joined my podcast. I can join theirs, and I'll just be curious to see how they handle theirs. See if they have a platform that actually works, or how they.
What's the podcast?
I don't know. I can let me look it up.
Okay. Wrong question.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Hopefully they don't listen to our podcast.
I don't think so. It's called Makers Figuring It Out. And I am not endorsing it because I have not listened to it nor been on it yet.
Sounds like they might say some pretty radical stuff that you wouldn't want to associate yourself with.
I don't know, but they sent me like a whole list of like questions. And I thought to myself thinking, I should probably write down some answers to this ahead of time. But then I also got to myself thinking, that's not how I podcast. I'm going to be winging it, baby.
No, you're a seasoned professional podcaster. You can improvise with the best of them. You don't need to prepare.
Or I'll be the politician answer. They'd be like, so what's your favorite thing about woodworking? And I'd be like, well, the other day I was at the grocery store. And just like go on the store that has nothing to do with what they asked.
Yeah.
I'd be good at it. I'd be good.
I like it. Well, you know what? It's going to get me to listen to that podcast. So
you think so?
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't lie to me, Zach. Don't lie to me.
It's one of those things. It's like, I feel like now I would, but 3 months from now when the episode actually comes out, I'm sure I won't remember at all.
You won't care. Well, anyway, we're getting to the end of things here. I want to tell you about, what did I have? The thing that I got paid to do, but I didn't do it.
Yes,
That's what I want to talk about in the after show, because I want to hear your thoughts and like how I navigate this situation.
Yeah. I got some thoughts. I think.
Okay. And we also got some questions for the after show, so we'll be busy over there.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys want to join the after show, as always, head over to patreon.com/offthecutpodcast. We'll be over there. It's an entire another podcast to, I don't know.
It really is. It really is.
We have fun there. We let loose.
Yeah.
You know.
A little bit more swearing from time to time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get drunk when we do it, occasionally.
That was one time. And hold on. There wasn't a we in there. That was a you.
We were both plastered. We were both so drunk.
You finished like half a bottle of whiskey.
Allegedly.
It was
so
so drunk
juice.
that Zach, the idea was this entire after show was going to be chopped up into making a video, like a YouTube video for him. And he goes, I can't publish this.
That is accurate. So that's exactly what happened.
That one was an hour and 45 minutes long. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, we had a good time. Well, the main show is fun too, but we can't give everything out to the freeloaders. So
yeah, that's right.
All right, well, let's put a button in this thing and head for the after show.
See you, everybody.
Yep, see you.